All right, hello and welcome everybody to Dead Drug Gaming. We have a set reveal reaction to Mask of Night Wanderer is what it's called. The Night Wanderer set just got revealed fully in Japan, so Jake and I are here to just go over some of the new cards that were translated and to kind of talk through them. And Jake is very down on this set, it seems. What are your overall thoughts before we dive into the cards?
I mean, I think there's like a couple interesting cards, but
Okay.
for the most part, it's like a filler set. Probably won't have too much of an impact for Worlds, but there's like
Right.
a couple cards that could.
Yeah, this is the classic mini set that we will get during the summertime, and it'll be legal just in time for Worlds. But it is very mini, so there probably won't be too much that'll be relevant for Worlds outside of the couple cards we'll talk about here. So I think Jake wanted to start with the Kingdra EX, so we can start with that. It's Royal Order's attack, puts up to 3 water Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. Any water Pokemon, doesn't have to be basic or whatever. And then it also has the Hydro Pump attack, does 50 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. I know you did some Twitter yapping already about this, right?
Yeah, I put something up a little while ago, but yeah, there like a couple other like there's an interesting other Kingdra, which is like an Iono effect, but both players you choose
Right.
either player and put their hand to the bottom, and then they
The
draw four.
the Seething Currents one,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, and then there's like a stage one has swim freely, so you can attach a bunch of energy with the Finneon if you want to. Um, but yeah, overall, I don't think this card is that strong. Like the attack, if the attack did like 60 plus 60, then it might be a little bit better. But 50s, you need a lot of energy to do any good damage.
Sure.
So I don't think it's worth it in a format with like Lugia and Chinchino, which just like does this attack but better.
Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Maybe we'll eventually get some sort of cool Kingdra deck then. It does seem like there are a lot of other Pokemon you can throw in to make something work with it, so that'd be cool. Um, let's see,
Yep.
looking at some other stuff here.
The, the next one that's like kind of interesting is this Weavile. Um,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
I don't think they've translated on
it's probably not
PokeBeach yet, but
translated.
it's at the
Yeah.
top. But it's just 70 damage paralysis, and you discard both energies attached,
Mm-hmm.
or you discard all energies attached.
This
So
one.
it's like another one of those like Articuno like effects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, could pop up at some point. There's also that other Weavile, which like when you switch active, you can switch one of your opponent's basics active. So like evolves from a line with another interesting Weavile. But yeah, there's actually like a tool card in this set that kind of combos with it as well. That one was translated on Twitter,
Yeah.
um, but it's
I
like
think it's cool.
at the end of your turn, if it's attached to your active, you
Yes,
can
this one.
attach an energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. So I guess it combos with the Weavile because you discard both energies and then you can get one back right away. But this card's actually like pretty cool and could be used in like a bunch of different applications.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I can't imagine like I can't come up with anything off the top of my head that would like definitely need to use this, but it could just be interesting for getting like extra energies in play.
Yeah,
Like you could put this in Dragapult or something, and then like energy switch and energy off that you got an extra one from. Something like that could be good at some point. Um, but yeah, it's like another cool effect to like pay attention to for the future.
for sure, for sure. Especially with so many decks just throwing away energy all the time, going into the discard. Seems like it could be relevant for sure at some point. Where else do you want to go from here? Do you want to
There's
talk about just focus on the newly translated stuff first, and then go towards some of the older stuff, or how do you want to do this?
I think we could just keep going down
Okay.
like the yes, that's probably easiest because they're like it doesn't really matter, but
The Hypno got
uh,
translated. I saw that.
yeah, the Reverum EX we can that one's like the next one. That one's over on Twitter.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, accelerating flash 20 plus. If this Pokemon is moved from your bench to active, do 120 more damage, and then speed break for 250. Discard this Pokemon and all cards attached to it. Okay, a little different
yeah,
than
like
what I was expecting. Yeah.
a very odd effect on it. Like it evolves from like a line with again another like good attacker with the old Reverum where you discard a card and you draw until you have six in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I was kind of hoping that this would have like an ability that comboed with that, like get an energy back from your discard pile so that you could have like an engine sort of with these two Pokemon. But um, unfortunately, it's this bad card, which it's like the effect is kind of unique, but I don't think it's too good. Like it's I guess it one shot the Lugia, which is I guess pretty good. So
Yeah, you.
aside from that,
It's weird, like because you can't take advantage of the baby rubber room in something like Dialga, where you could actually charge up and use this pretty easily, because you don't have the bench face for that
yeah,
typically. So you just have the one metal attack, and that's like the easy thing to charge up. It does KO Lugia, which is that is cool. So maybe if Lugia is huge big deal when it comes time for Worlds, then maybe. But even then, it's tough.
yeah,
um,
like maybe after Dialga rotates or something, and
sure,
there's
sure.
like you just play just play this guy and the Metangs, but I don't think that would be too good either.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, awkward stage one type moment. All right.
yeah,
What does Hypno do again? I just saw the
yeah,
Hypno.
Hypno is 80, and then if your opponent attaches an energy to the Pokemon that was damaged by the attack, their turn ends.
Hmm.
So this effect was actually on like a Slack Off from like Team Up, I think. um, or like Unified Minds, actually, the Mewtwo Mew tag team set, but it wasn't very good. I mean, like yeah, didn't see any play. This is even worse because you're doing damage.
Hmm.
Slackoff was a basic. Like this effect could actually be like kind of cool in standard if it was on a basic and cost like one energy, but yeah, as it is, it's like yeah, too expensive. You
Yeah,
don't want to be doing a damage with an effect like this, so yeah, I don't think it's too good.
yeah, pretty cool effect, but yeah, it doesn't sound super good at the moment. Going back over here.
Um,
These got revealed
um,
before tonight. These Dusclops and Dustnors, because they
Yeah,
revealed the arts.
they're pretty good. I think these are like the best cards in the set. Yeah, Dusclops, you knock it out and then put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon.
Hmm.
And the Dusknor is the same thing, but for 13 damage counters. Um, so you can do like a lot of crazy stuff with these cards, like um, activating Counter Catcher and putting a bunch of damage in places, activating Reversal Energy. You can also like combo it with Lost City and like the Lost Zone attackers. So you can like because when you knock these things out, they would go to the Lost Zone if you have a Lost City in play. So you can do like a turn two, like you knock out 4 of the Dusclops and Sableye your opponent. That sounds pretty crazy.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't know if it's good, but that if that actually was good, that'd be kind of scary because you
Yeah.
can do a lot of damage, like 100. Yeah, you could do 320 damage spread on turn two
Yeah, just being
theoretically.
able to do this
Um,
whenever you want is kind of wild for sure.
yeah, it could be good against something like Lugia, where you like knock out their Archeopsis in one turn or something,
Hmm.
or like you don't care about giving them prize cards as long as you knock out the Archeopsis. So these could help with that. Um, but yeah, it's like a unique effect. I guess it's not unique. There was an old Cophagrigus that did this same
Sure.
thing, and there was um, yeah, some old Pokemon TCG memes that came from that Cophagrigus a while ago. But yeah, the effect is like pretty decent. So I think it probably will pop up in something at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty interesting. Pretty cool. A lot of cool effects for a very limited set, even if a lot of them are just repeats of older effects.
Yep.
Going down here, this Ursaluna I think was also revealed before, right?
Yeah, the Ursaluna's like when you bench it, you can attach 2 fighting energy to it. So it's the same as
Right.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
old
It's this one.
Galarian Zapdos
Hmm.
card. And then the attack 100 plus 30 for each damage counter on your opponent's active. So if there's like a spread deck at some point where you put like some amount of damage in play and then just use this like a couple of these as a late game attacker, that could be interesting. They've been doing like recently, the game designers have been sort of like introducing lots of cards where they become good like a couple sets later, which is pretty cool. Like one of the complaints people had during the Sword and Shield era, which was that like every deck was just handholdy. Like they'd introduce like 5 combo pieces for a deck in one set and then just nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like spreading things out is a bit interesting because you get something like the Raging Bolt Ogre Pond deck where like Raging Bolt pretty bad card last set, but Ogre Pond, which like doesn't obviously combo with it,
Yeah.
like turns out to create like a really cool deck, and it took a long time for people to discover that. Um, so yeah, something like this could end up doing that at some point, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Going forward here, we're getting to the dark cards. What does the Crobat do? I've not seen any
Yeah.
combos.
Oh, there's one more good one,
Oh,
which is the
oh
Slitherwing,
yeah, we just saw it.
which one hit KOs Iron Hands, and that's all it does. But that's
It
not
this
bad.
also KOs Iron Thorns, right? And there you go.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like you can
There's
put it
your
in Lost
Thorns
Box.
answer.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It does.
so yeah, here's the Crobat. Oh, this is the one that combos with Janine, right? I remember now. Once during your turn, if you've played Janine's secret technique from your hand during this turn, you may draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand, and then you also have the Toxic Fangs attack, 120. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, put 2 damage counters on it instead of 1 between turns. And then what does the Janine do again? Let me check. Right.
Yeah, Janine is like you it's at least a sparkle for dark Pokemon. But your active also gets poisoned whenever you
Yeah.
attach an energy to it. So it's like
Yeah,
meant to
lot
combo
of
with
poison
the
synergy in
we'll
this
get to
next
them
set
later,
for
but
sure.
the loyal 3 EXs. Yeah, which is kind of cool because like special condition, well,
Mm-hmm.
poison specifically has been like poison and burn have not been good lately at all. But yeah, the Crobat, I think it just barely like doesn't do enough to where you would actually put it in anything. Like I feel like if this said like you draw until you have 10 cards in your hand, then I'd like
Right.
Crobat would actually be cool. Like Crobat Janine engine sort of thing. But 8 cards is like I don't think it's enough. Like maybe even 9 would have been
Mm.
enough, but 8 is like a bit too little, I think. Um, but yeah, you also get the evolution of like the older Crobat, the one that
Yeah.
takes
That
extra
Crobat's still,
prize
I always think
cards,
that
or the one
Crobat's
that
rotated already. It's
supporter
just
locks or item
nobody's found a
locks.
good use for it yet. So
But
it's still here.
yeah, but yeah, this one like it doesn't combo well with either of those, which is like kind of sad because we have all these really
Mm-hmm.
like cool Crobats, but none of them work together at all. Um, maybe one day they'll print a Crobat EX that just says for each different Crobat you
Yeah, we
have
haven't
in
got one
play,
yet. There's
it
still
does
time. There's
something.
like you said,
That
they're
would be
printing out
cool.
pieces at a time. Maybe that's coming. Um, yeah. So looking at these dark Pokemon,
Yep.
the Zoroark's kind of interesting. Some people were talking about that. Is this? Do you have anything to comment about it?
Yeah, I
Sure.
think this is like a bit weak. Like there's some decks it's really good against, like the Raging Bolt Ogre Pawn. Like you're just one hit KOing everything with this card. Um, but for like a lot of the like one of the things about EXs that are different than Vs is that like there was an old Galissapod which did the like 50 plus 50 if you or 50 times for each of your opponent's GX and Vs in play. And even that was bad, but it was a bit better because like all the
Sure.
Vs, like all the V maxes and V stars evolved from Vs anyway, so you have to have them in play. But like think about like a Dragapult deck right now, like
Mm-hmm.
Dragapult Zatu, like you only have like one EX in play the entire game because as soon as your one Dragapult gets knocked out, you evolve into the next one. So Zork's like pretty weak against like that type of strategy, which is like a lot
Yeah.
of the all of the evolution
Yeah,
decks
for
sort
sure.
of have
That is
that going for them, where they
a
can
good
just
point
play
with
around
just
this
the
really
fundamental
easily.
way EX works compared to V. That's not as powerful for sure. Um, let's see what else here. Conspiracy tentacles on the Malamar is funny.
Yeah, this one's uh, yeah, it's like not terrible because the Zerosic is like you play it and your opponent
Yeah,
discards until they have 3 cards in hand, so you can do Zerosic and then Malamar and kill their Bibarel or Mew EX or whatever, and that's not terrible, but I don't think you actually like build this into a deck. There's probably better ways to take out
Mm-hmm.
Bibarel, like a Luxray EX can do
For sure,
that.
yeah.
Um, Xerosic is like the much more interesting card though, because like if you think about Charizard right now, they're going like Rotom turn one and having a 10 card
Mm-hmm.
hand at the end of their turn, and then you can Xerosic and they have to discard a bunch of stuff. Like it's not like much more powerful than Eerie, but I think it is like it's like slightly more powerful than Eerie early game, but slightly less powerful or like a significantly less powerful like mid to late game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think this card will like cause problems, but uh, definitely
Yeah,
something to
Twitter
like
was kind of
play
freaking out
around
about this card
sometimes
when it
because it
did
could
get
be
revealed
yeah
initially.
pretty
This was revealed
dangerous.
like a week or two ago. Is this something you expect to see decks like Charizard, for example, throw in to like a one of to potentially just ruin your opponent's plans, or is this more so just going to be sticking in control lists? Mm,
I think it's like even more so just a control answer. Like uh it's
sure.
much more like annoying for a control deck to deal with than something like Eerie. Like you can imagine like Block Lax with their 20 card
For
hand
sure.
and they just get 0-6. They might just lose from that sometimes. Um so yeah, if you go like 0-6 plus knockout Rotom, then they're gonna have like trouble putting together like a counter catcher plus get the Rotom back in play kind of play with a 3 card hand.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
could be kind of annoying for them. And it can't get eerie. The Xerosic can't get eeried out like the hand trimmer can. Um, but yeah, like it'll probably pop up in decks occasionally,
Sure,
but I don't
sure.
think it'll be like a staple. Like
Yeah, it's
Eerie
just a
isn't a
one of in
staple
certain
in
types of it, for
like
sure.
regular
Yeah, when I
Charizard.
first read this card,
Um,
my only real initial thought was like, oh, this is
yeah.
like way scarier against Lost Box than that the Curum card. Like I'm way more afraid of seeing this if I'm playing Lost Box. We'll talk about the Curum in a bit too, but oh, it's right here. We can just mention it briefly. So it just has the ability if your opponent has a card with Chorus in its name in their discard pile, it removes the attack cost, reduces it, sorry, to just one colorless energy. And its attack normally has a ridiculous energy cost, but you just discard all energy from the Pokemon and do 110 damage to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon. So it seems like it's mostly just a Lost Box / Lost Tina heavy target thing, but there's also another Chorus card, and we'll talk about that too. Um, I actually don't remember what it does, but yeah, there's anything you want to mention with the Kyurem, the funny Kyurem.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of well one card that's really really good for Lost Box in this set, which is like the I don't remember what the
Yeah,
a card what the Pokemon's name is, but it's like
Pheasantipity.
the bird loyal 3 thing where you can draw until you have 3 or draw 3 cards. Yeah, yeah, that one. Draw 3 cards if something got knocked out, which is pretty
There you go.
insane for Lost Box. Like, um, yeah, getting like Ionode and then
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
draw 3 cards is like uh, crazy. So they probably did need to print counters for Lost Box. So the Curum does help a little bit. Um,
sure.
like you can play like canceling Cologne, Curum, and counter catcher Manaphy, and then you'll wipe their board of comfies. But um, even then, like Lost Box probably uh,
You're gonna
like if
lose
you're
against
pulling
everything
all
else.
that off,
Yeah,
like putting all of that in a deck, you
that's why like
probably
Xerosic is much more
probably have
likely
bigger
to be present in
problems.
decks.
Yeah.
It's just a much more like widespread answer. Whereas this is like Kyurem's just so targeted and specific. It's so tough to justify putting in your deck, honestly, even unless Lost Box really is like that popular, that common. We can talk about these loyal 3. Do you want to say anything else about Pheasantipity?
Yeah, well, Pheasantipity's like attack is actually kind of decent, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. You just snipe 100 and like any deck can use it. So like I would expect this card to go into like a bunch of different decks. Like I think like Chen Pao would probably play this. Um, yeah, actually Chen Pao sounds like a nightmare with this card because you could just put this like over one of your barrels. Like or one of your barrels gets knocked out and you just put this in
You're just
play as
drawing
the
cards,
replacement and
sniping all
then
over the place.
yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
gross. I don't wanna think about it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, you even have the snipe attack if you want it, but, just being able to draw, like, extra cards after you get, knocked out, like, the
Mm-hmm.
barrel plus this is, like, drawing 8 if you had no cards in hand. And then Greninja on top of this, you're drawing 10
Yeah, this is
cards.
a
Like,
pretty interesting kind of Mew EX
that
replacement if
sounds too
that's like your
good.
only purpose of using Mew in a
uh,
deck for sure. Can definitely slot in. Yeah.
yeah, you can even combo this with Mew, like both
Yeah,
of
pretty
them. You're
pretty gross,
drawing
pretty good.
6. Ugh.
Monkey Dory
Yeah,
EX ability skip a beat. This Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack while you have Pecharunt EX in play. Your opponent takes one less prize card, and then it's Dirty Headbutt does 190 damage, and you just can't use it on consecutive turns.
yeah. This card's actually like kind of interesting. Like, yeah, having a
Mm-hmm.
one prizer with 210 HP does 190 damage is not bad.
Janine.
It's like kind of
Yeah.
hard to power up. Like, you have Dark Patch in the Janine supporter. Um, but yeah, like if you're trying to attack with a lot of these, like because you're ideally wanting to make an opponent like go through Monkey Dories every turn, it's going to be hard to chain them
Yeah.
for a while. And 190 is good, but it's not amazing. Um, uh, yeah, it's also damage from an attack. So something like Dragapult can go 200, and then next turn Gust, and then
Mm-hmm.
uh, Snipe on the bench to take the default 2
For
prize
sure.
cards. So there's ways to play around this
Next
too.
one is isn't it, wait, where's the other one? Oh, here. Okidogi. Okidogi EX. Poison Muscle attack. Search your deck for 2 basic dark energy and attach them to this specific Pokemon. And also auto poisons it, which again will synergize with some other stuff like the next attack, Crazy Chain. 130 plus damage if this Pokemon is poisoned. This attack does 130 more damage. So hits quite a bit harder, and 250 HP on a basic is kind of a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this card, like, it would have been like
Yeah.
probably okay if the Raging Bolt Ogerpon deck didn't do the same thing but better. Um, so like, yeah, you're a 2 prize beat stick deck that hits less hard and your combo is more convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think this card's like good at all. Like, yeah, maybe like, yeah, you could put it in, like,
Yeah.
Lost Box or something, but yeah, how are you getting the poison on? I don't know,
Yeah,
like,
it seems tough
I
right now
I
for
don't think
sure
this card is
for it.
too good.
The Pecharunt EX, which does combo with the Monkey Dory, like we were saying earlier, its ability, Chain of Command, once during your turn, you may switch one of your bench dark Pokemon, excluding any Pecharunt, with your active Pokemon, and then that poisons them, and you can't use that more than once per turn, and then it does 60 damage times the number of prize cards your opponent has taken. Similar vein to Charizard EX's attack, just much lower base damage, but much easier to charge up and just throw down whenever. Any thoughts on Pecharunt EX?
Yeah, I think this card's, like, pretty decent. As, like, well, first of all, you can play, like a free retreating dark Pokemon, like, the Morpeko, which has, like, no retreat cost when you have no energy on it, and then get the classic Russian retreat effect from Keldeo EX, back in the day, but,
Mm-hmm.
like, that the cost of 2 bench spaces, which is pretty high,
Yeah,
but, like,
for
I think
sure.
more importantly, this is, like, actually, like, a pretty good control tech, um, if you're specifically playing like a deck with Roaring Moon EX in it. So like Lost Box, because you can just switch. So like
Mm-hmm.
this thing itself, Pekarant can't switch itself active, which is not ideal. But like, yeah, and it is also the attack is like kind of uh, like the
Right,
attack would
right.
do no damage against control early game, like if you haven't given them prize cards.
Yep.
But if you're playing Roaring Moon, you can use the first attack of Roaring Moon to force your opponent to take a couple prize cards, and then now you just have an infinite way to switch the Roaring Moon active, which is very annoying for control decks. And if they try to trap the Pecarunt,
Mm-hmm.
then you're doing enough
Yeah, seems
damage
pretty
to
solid
where
answer
you're
for
annoying
that. We'll
them at
see
that
if it
point.
pops up for Worlds or not. Moving on, we got Genesect, which has a very interesting ability. Basically, just if it has a tool attached, your opponent can't play any ace spec cards. It is a basic, so it's pretty easy to slap it down. You do have to burn a tool on it, though. Do you think this will pop up in any place in any way during Worlds?
Yeah, I think this card, like, is a pretty, like, interesting card for
Hmm.
control because you can shut off Prime Catcher, like, preemptively, which could be pretty good, like, as just a Chen Pao
100.
tech, I guess.
Yeah. No
How
chin.
much damage is it?
Well,
Oh, it's only
you need a
100
tool. You
damage,
need
which
a
is kind
tool.
of
Just put on
annoying. If, like,
Vitality Band.
if it did,
There
like,
you go.
110 damage, that'd be so good. Yeah, you can put Vitality Band. Yeah, I don't know about that. But, like, yeah,
Sure.
if this did 110, you could put it in, like, Lost Box, then just put your rescue board on it, and then preemptively shut off your opponent's Prime Catcher canceling Cologne Curum combo.
For sure.
But,
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty cool.
it's a bit of a niche
Some
effect,
sort
but
of
it
ace
could see
spec
play at some
lockdown
point,
happening.
something.
Um,
Yeah. There's like
I saw
a
it here.
Copperajah that hasn't been
Okay.
translated, but it's not good. It's only when you're yeah, it's on there. It's only when it's active that it shuts off your opponent's stadiums. So if it
Sure.
worked on the bench, then you could lock like Temple of Sinnoh in play,
Yeah,
and
we
that would
already
be
have.
pretty
This is
powerful.
not a
But
unique effect in this
being
format
active is
because we
not
have
good.
the fossil that does the same thing, and is easier to put into play than this if that's your only concern, just
Yep.
stadium locking your opponent. Um, but yeah, seems not great for sure. Let's see, we got these. Yeah,
Uh, the fracture is pretty cool. Because you just can't boss
yeah,
it.
this one actually blocks
Or
items.
like yeah, you can't prime catcher, can't boss, you can't vacuum it. Um, yeah, so yeah, like a weird interaction is that well, it doesn't say so on
Mm,
cards, but like Lost Vacuum actually targets the Pokemon and like puts an effect on the Pokemon, which makes the tool go away. And same with like Enhanced Hammer or Crushing Hammer. So those effects, like even though they affect cards attached to the fracture, they wouldn't be able to be played either. So you can do something like put like the survival brace on this fracture, then you can't get knocked out, um, or just have it on the bench. There's like some uses for these like types of cards. Like there
yeah.
was an Axew, funnily enough, like the same evolution line, but that like some decks played in the past, like control decks. Just you have something on the bench so that if
Mm,
your active got knocked out, you could like go into it, but they wouldn't be able to boss around it. So if you think something like Snorlax doll or like a just a Mawile trapping deck where you just want to have like I guess mainly Snorlax, but you don't want to have like stuff on the bench, but for your opponent to boss around your Snorlax, but you need something in play that just you don't lose as soon as
pretty
you get
interesting.
knocked out. Then you have like this card for that.
The
Um,
Haxorus
yeah,
just
cool.
automatically knocks out any Pokemon that has special energy attached to it. That is the effect of the attack, so it's not damage or anything. So Mist Energy does block this, which makes it a lot less useful. Yeah, so
Yep.
not, and it also just does 230, which I guess is cool. It's kind of
Yep.
interesting that it's fighting metal for both these attack costs. Kind of a weird combo. Kind of a little bit. There's not really any like acceleration for either of those, so or at least not easy acceleration. Um, any other of the Pokemon you want to talk about before we get into the trainer cards?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't
Dangerous
think
Laser.
so. Yeah, all
Your
the
opponent's
rest
active
are
Pokemon is
pretty
now
bad.
burned or confused, or burned and confused, and and that's it. That's it. This is a card that everyone is like immediately roasting on Twitter, but it does do like immediate damage pretty fast, and that can be useful, I guess. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think this card's pretty bad too. Um, like the only thing like that it does that's sort of
Yeah.
unique to the format, I guess, is like that you can confuse on a trainer card, which can be like good for control strategies sometimes. Um, but usually those decks are going to be better off playing some other A spec.
Yep.
Like yeah, there's a lot of competition with good A specs, and confusion is not like it's good, but it's not that good. Um, and yeah, so you might pop up at some point, but you're also burning, which is like I guess the chance that your opponent gets knocked out from a burn is like pretty low over time, so it
Mm.
doesn't matter that much for like a trapping strategy if you're trying to trap something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as long as as long as they flip tails on burn in the next like 10 turns, you're not going to
Sure.
knock them out. So they'll stay
For
trapped
sure.
and confused, which could be pretty
Pokevital
good.
A,
But
heal
aside from
150
that, it's
damage from
pretty
one of your
weak.
Pokemon, and it has the unique aspect side effect that if it's in your discard pile, it can't be put into your hand or deck. Uh, Seem to be pretty proactive about preventing any like weird loops happening with this. What are your thoughts on this line in particular? Because the effect is it it heals a lot. That's cool. But what are your thoughts on this?
Uh, Yeah, I think like I saw like an interview with creatures from like the world this past year. Somebody asked a question about um like loops or like things that they looked for in testing, and one of them was like preventing loops from happening. So this is like yeah, just a preemptive measure that uh for whatever reason they don't think a healing loop should be possible. So like yeah, I don't think like that you're probably not going to be looping this with very many things anyway, but um yeah, the like adding that text is sort of
Mm-hmm.
preemptive, just prevents anything from happening that could be bad in their eyes. Which I don't think this card is like you want to loop it
Yeah,
very like often with anything, so probably doesn't matter that much. Doesn't really change how strong the card is.
sure.
So yeah, and I don't think the card is that strong either, that much. It could be actually like okay. Like I think Scoop Up Cyclone sort of exists in the same space as this card for things you'd want to do, but like if you're
Mm-hmm.
against Dragapult, you can just like erase one of their attacks, which is pretty good. But Scoop Up Cyclone also does that for most archetypes. So yeah, it's sort of in that same kind of thing. If we get into a more like 2-hit KOE format with some attackers that like really need a
Sure.
lot of energies, then you might see this pop up in those decks. But
Yeah,
aside from
seems
that,
not
it's
like the
probably not
versatility of
not
scuba cycling just
outclassing
seems
the
too
other
good
ace
right
decks.
now for sure. Nightly Stretcher. Choose one. You can either put a Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand or put a basic energy from your discard pile into your hand. It's just a normal item card. Um, Obviously, this is half Clara, basically, from free rotation, but as an item card.
Mhm.
So, what are your thoughts on Night Stretcher?
Yeah, I think this card's like pretty like these effects are pretty cool where they like let you cut down on energies and Pokemon. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, you can play lower counts of things and just be able to get them back more easily, which is cool. If they ever print some way to discard Pokemon out of your deck more easily, we probably need to wait for Archeops to rotate from before that happens.
Yeah,
But if they do, then you can like combo it with those types of effects where you like discard Pokemon and then get it out from the discard pile. Um, so yeah, like the card's like good to keep in mind, and probably will show up as like a random one of
for
in
sure.
a bunch of different decks. Like Lost Box could play this. Yeah, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a
Yeah, makes
just a
sense.
unique effect.
Binding
Probably will
Mochi, the
be
attacks of the poison
decent at
Pokemon
some
this card is
point.
attached to do 40 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So again, synergizing in particular with the whatever three, the dark Pokemon, Petron and whatever. It also does synergize with the what is it called? The Brute Bonnet that you can poison yourself and your opponent's active Pokemon with, and it is 40 as a damage booster. So if your deck's just naturally poisoning yourself, this is an extremely effective damage boosting tool. But whether or not those like Brute Bonnet will be like usable in many contexts is kind of sketchy. So, anything you want to comment on with Binding Mochi?
Yeah, not really much. Like yeah, if you're playing like Janine as
Sure.
your engine, you can or as your like energy acceleration engine, you can play this card. So might pop up in the future in
Yeah.
some random deck which needs Janine Janine to function. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be like too good at right of the way right out of its release. I think like it's possible the game designers just didn't realize that the Raging Bull Ogerpon deck would exist because
Yeah.
this Loyal 3 deck seems like just a worse version of that. Um, so yeah, I wonder
For
if they
sure.
missed that one, which would be kind of
That deck
cool.
has
But
been very good lately, and I was gonna say something about this. Oh, you were talking earlier about like Roaring Moon stuff too. Like poisoning your Roaring Moon is also really scary. I just like randomly realized this. It's pretty bad when you're also doing 200 to yourself because you'll just knock
Yeah.
yourself out pretty easily. But Chorus's Tenacity is the other Chorus card I was talking about. It is a Stadium Search card. You get a Stadium card and an MG card. Reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck. So we can finally Luminion for a Stadium card without doing weird things like Luminion Arven Secret Box. So this is cool. I can definitely see this like being included in some random stuff just to have that kind of option. But and the energy card too is cool because it's not just basic energy; it can be a special energy, which can be potentially usable in some deck at some point. Any thoughts on Chorus's Tenacity?
I think it's really annoying that this card has Colress in its name because the Curum that just exists now. So it kind of gatekeeps this card from ever becoming
No one's gonna play
like
the
a 4 of
Curum. It's
staple in a bunch of
fine.
random decks because you have the Curum to worry about.
Yeah, yeah,
But well, I mean, like I'm thinking like a year from now when like Colress like could be
yeah.
like a deck
Curum
could
be
want to play
existing
4
to
Colress,
mostly
but then like
gatekeep
Curum is
Lost
just
Box, but
annoying. Um,
also inadvertently gatekeeping this from being really common in other decks. And like if any kind of like tier 1, tier 0 deck needs to play like 3 to 4 copies of this card, it's gonna be really bad. unless they're like unless they're like huge big basics type thing, but even then it's still
yeah.
like they just play two Kurums and two shot your guys. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Like, the main thing this card can do is, like, you can Luminion for, TM Evolution plus an energy
Mm,
card. Like, you can get the town store and then go find your TM Evolution. It's like that combo's, like,
right.
a bit unique because Arven doesn't get you all the way there, it only gets you half the pieces. I guess you can just Arven for Energy Search instead is probably fine, but so yeah, I guess it doesn't really change that much. If
There
you
you
really
go.
need your special energy in
Yeah, you
Blissey
can
and
get your
want to
double turbo energies.
Luminion
That's so
for it, then
fun.
you can
You can
you
get
can do
your
that now.
turn 1 DT attach pass. Janine, we already talked about. Cassiopeia. You can only use this card when it is the last card in your hand. Search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them in your hand. Then shuffle your deck. There was a card that did this before, right? Am I forgetting? Yeah.
Um, well, there's been effects like this where you can only
Sure,
play it
sure,
if
yeah.
it's the last card in your hand. There's like
Hmm.
also Peony was kind of similar. You just discard your hand and then search for 2 trainers. But we saw Peony was like very hardly played.
It's more
This is
restrictive.
not that much better than Peony,
Yeah.
but it's like the payoff is not that much better than Peony, but it's even yeah, much harder to use. So I don't think it'll be seeing play that much. There is like a kind of a combo you can do with there's like another card in this set, a stadium card down below where
Oh.
it's just switching cups on a stadium. I guess they
Oh, I
haven't added
saw
it
it.
on
Yeah.
there,
Hold on.
but it's over on Twitter. The got
This one.
translated. Um, yeah, you can just switch one of your cards in your hand with the top card of your deck. So you can put
Hmm.
the Cassiopeia on top and then squove it into Cassiopeia and get 2 cards. It's like a cool combo, but I don't think
Right.
it's too good. And I also don't think this stadium is that good because we saw like switching cups
Right.
like existed for a while alongside Iono. Didn't see any play at all. It's like this is an Iono proofing method. So if there's ever like um, a stadium card you really need to bump, then you can play this. Um, I
Sure.
guess it helps a little bit more in like something like Lugia maybe,
Shuffle your
where
energy back into your deck so
you
you can
like
primal
want to
turbo
save
it.
stuff,
Yeah.
and like you have to research your hand, and then yeah, you can do that. Like you need stadium bumps for Temple of Sinnoh. You like Iono proofing yourself is always nice, and then yeah, just saving stuff so you don't have to research it away always. So the stadium card could like definitely pop up. I think the effect is
Hmm.
weaker than switching cups, but because it's a stadium card, it can bump other stadiums, which is like a
Yeah, makes
benefit in
sense.
itself. So
The
that could
last
see play for
stadium
that
here.
reason.
Another A spec. This is our first A spec stadium. Prevent all damage done to Pokemon that don't have ruled boxes by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon X, EX, and Pokemon V. And it also has that unique. If it's in your discard pile, you can't just put it into your hand or deck, so you can't Roseanne's backup this or Silene it or whatever. And then normal stadium rules. So Pretty unique effect. Is this? Uh, do you think this will be how playable is this? I guess it feels like it's competing with some pretty good A specs.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to justify this. Like I could see it being played in something like your Mawile trapping, and your
Mm-hmm.
Mawile is now immune to um, V and EX attacks. So if there's like a deck which like doesn't play any stadium cards for whatever reason, you can just freely trap something with that. Um, so yeah, like maybe it could pop up every once in a while. Like it's also not
Sure, sure.
not a not a weak effect combined with like
Yeah, Lost Box
Roxanne
is
or
what I was
Iono.
thinking
Like
of.
you could
Yeah,
in Lost Box play this card and then Sableye Roxanne your opponent and hope your opponent doesn't find a counter stadium, which actually seems like a pretty strong play, but it's
yeah,
hard to justify playing
yeah,
this
for
over
sure.
like Prime Catcher or Unfair
Um,
Stamp and Lost
yeah,
Box.
I don't have any other thoughts on it. Any other cards you wanted to go over? Did we miss anything? Any game breaking effects? Cool.
I think we got
Oh,
through everything. Everything good
but this card's really
anyway.
good. We
Yeah, if we
finally
didn't
got
cover a
Grass
card, I think it's
Dartrix.
bad.
It's or Grass United Wings. Sorry, we finally have an
Okay.
answer for Charizard for United Wings, except it's awful. Yeah. um,
And it's terrible.
but yeah, so that'll be it
The
for
stage
our
one.
what is this called? Night Wanderer set reveal. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I'm Etchy. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Etchy, or on Twitter, twitter.com/EtchyOK. Jake, where can people find you?
Yeah, same as always, twitter.com/Jake K Gearhart. The one without the K in the
Yeah,
middle
someone took
is
Etchy like
taken,
years
and
before
I
I even
will
like
forever
started
be
going by it
mad.
too. So I can relate. But yeah, we'll I'm sure there'll be more Twitter yapping about this set as we get closer to it from Jake. So make sure you follow him for that. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to see more of these set reveals too, let us know, and we'll keep doing them as the new sets come out. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.